Let's talk about overthinking. This is very important for every one of us because all of us have overthought about something at some point in our lives. Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Anuneet Sabharwal. I'm a Delhi-based psychiatrist with a decade-long experience in mental health, sexual health, and addiction. Let's know what overthinking is, what causes it, and how you can stop it. So what exactly is overthinking? Overthinking is classically defined as thinking about something too much or for too long. While it is human nature to think things through when taking a decision or evaluating a situation, it becomes overthinking when you simply cannot get out of your own head. Overthinking about a tough decision you have to take can cause problems. This is because it can cause what we refer to as paralysis by analysis, which means that you're so afraid of taking the wrong decision that you take no decision at all, even though the wrong decision might actually be a better option than taking no decision. Let's now look at how overthinking affects the brain. Overthinking engages the same parts of the brain that are involved in fear and anxiety. Now, the cerebral cortex is the logical part of the brain. It is the seat of all thinking. The cerebral cortex helps us bring back memories and also anticipate things. But when you start to think too much about things, that's when the amygdala gets involved. And amygdala is the emotional center of the brain. Research has found it to be intricately linked with fear and anxiety. So the more you let yourself obsess about something, the more you worry and the more you activate the amygdala. Now this amygdala is what makes our heart pound. This amygdala is what makes us feel uneasy and anxious, and it's the amygdala that causes us muscle tension. Eventually, it can become a vicious cycle where anxiety leads to overthinking and overthinking leads to anxiety. So do you know that the main factor behind overthinking is uncertainty? Because we feel vulnerable about the future, we keep trying to solve problems in our own heads. The interesting thing is, you can neither control the future nor predict it. But it is this uncertainty that makes us overthink. Now, when we're in the overthinking mode, we tend to start forming associations where none exist. This is called the clustering illusion. It is because the brain has a hard time accepting that information can be random and that events can be coincidental. Picture this, you've just had a fight with your boss, but you come home and your thoughts go on a loop. What if I get fired? I was planning to buy a house this year. How will that happen? How am I going to manage my finances? What's going to be happening to my family? What are others going to say about it? Now, this loop is dangerous and it can potentially amplify your anxiety. Other factors will include how busy you are. The more time you have at your disposal, the more the opportunity to overthink. The impact of the event. If the consequences of the event are minor, you find it easier brushing it off, but when the stakes are high, you tend to think longer. Also factor in the people involved. So if the people associated are among your trusted folks, you find it easier to let go. If there's anyone suspicious who's associated with the event, you find it rather hard and you start to think longer. And lastly, your mindset. Whether you look at a situation as glass half full or glass half empty determines how much you overthink. You can look at a mishap and think about how everything went wrong, and you can also look at the same mishap and think about how you can improve yourself. So what are the signs of overthinking? Number one, you can't sleep. When you try, you just can't turn off your mind and you become agitated by worries or doubts. Number two, you self-medicate. Studies suggest that you might turn to alcohol, drugs, food, or other external resources to help regulate your mood. This is because you're unable to calm down using your own internal resources. But even these external resources will only bring temporary relief. Number three, you're always tired. This may be from the insomnia or the constant loop of your agitated thoughts. Number four, you want to control everything. You plan every aspect of your life down to the last detail. This is the only way you feel safe, but it never quite works because planning everything is impossible. Number five, you obsess over failure. You tend to be a perfectionist and often imagine how awful it would be to fail in any way. This fear of failure paralyzes you and prevents you from learning from any mistakes. Number six, you worry about the future. Instead of being excited by all of the things that you're set to achieve and experience, you instead think about what could go wrong and completely ignoring what could go right. You worry about the future and make catastrophic predictions about unlikely events that haven't even happened yet. Number seven, you're stuck in the past. You may also ruminate about the past and beat yourself up about could-haves and should-haves. You fret over what others might think of them and let negative self-talk build up in your mind. Number 8, you don't trust your own judgment. You start second-guessing yourself on everything from what you're wearing to where you're going to even what you're saying and how you come across to others. You may also start relying on others to reassure you that your judgment is okay. Now this is particularly dangerous because your self-esteem can take a serious hit. Number 9, self-blaming. You begin to blame yourself for things you didn't do and worry about scenarios that may or may not happen. And number 10, tension headaches. Now what's a tension headache? It's like a tight clamp around your temples, and you may also feel pain or stiffness in your neck. Chronic tension headaches are a sign that you desperately need help. Let's now discuss how you can stop overthinking. Number 1, identify your overthinking pattern. Awareness is the beginning of change. So before you begin to address or cope with your habit of overthinking, you first need to know when it is that it's happening. So the next time you feel stressed, anxious, or doubting yourself, take a step back, look at the situation and how you're responding to it. In that moment of awareness is the seed of the change you want to make. Number 2, don't focus on what can go wrong, but what can go right. Many times, overthinking is caused by a single emotion, and that's fear. When we focus on all the negative things that might happen, it's easy to become paralyzed with fear. So the next time you sense that you're heading in that direction, stop, visualize all the things that can go right, and focus on those thoughts and keep them present and upfront. Number 3, distract yourself. Sometimes it's helpful to have a way to distract yourself with healthy, happy, and positive alternatives. Things like painting, dancing, exercise, and even music can distance you from the issues enough to shut down the overanalysis. Number 4, put things into a wider perspective. Challenge your thoughts. Stand up to your critical inner voice. The next time you catch yourself making a mountain out of a molehill, just ask yourself, how much will this matter to me in the next 5 years? Or for that matter, even next month? Just asking yourself this simple question of changing up the time frame can help shut down overthinking. Number 5, change your view of fear. When you're afraid of trying because you failed in the past, remember that just because things didn't turn out the way you expected them to before, does not mean that that has to be the same outcome every time. Every opportunity is a new beginning and a new place to start again from. Number 6, schedule time for reflection. This can help you bring your focus to problem solutions rather than the problems. Harping on problems for long periods of time isn't productive, but brief reflection can be helpful. Thinking about how you could do things differently or potential pitfalls in your plan can help you perform better in the future. Just incorporate 20 minutes of thinking time in your daily schedule. In this time, let yourself loose. You can worry, you can ruminate, and you can also mull over whatever you want. Once this time is over, however, remind yourself that there's a time to think about it later and focus on something which is more productive. Number 7, set time limits for decisions. Now, once you've incorporated thinking times into your daily schedules, the next logical step is to set time limits for the decisions you make. This is because every thinking process has to eventually conclude into a decision. Now, these time limits can be varied depending on how big the decision is. For smaller life decisions, take up to a week. For major life decisions, set yourself the time limit for a month or so. Number 8, realize you can't control your surroundings completely. No matter how hard you try, there are always going to be things that are completely out of your control. And that's all right, because we're humans. We make mistakes. We are imperfect. And that is the beauty of life. Number 9, practice mindfulness. Now, what's mindfulness? Mindfulness is deliberate, non-judgmental attention to your thoughts. When you're in mindfulness meditation, it's as if you're sitting in a cinema theater and watching your thoughts on screen. You begin to view your thoughts as passing clouds, as transient thoughts, and once you do that, these thoughts will not have the same effect on you as they were earlier. Your emotional reaction to these thoughts will be limited and it will be much more in control. And number 10, and most importantly, let go of the past and be grateful for what you have in the present. Be grateful for the family you have, be grateful for the career you have, and be grateful for the life you've built. Okay, so this brings me to the end of the video. Thank you for watching the video till the end. I wish you the best of luck. I hope this video has added some value to your life. I look forward to seeing you again.